The final battle against the far left is at hand. America is about to witness the most decisive moment in modern political history. While you were sleeping, President Trump dropped the nuclear option that will shatter the Democrat resistance once and for all. Make sure to stick with me to the very end of this video because we're going to see precisely how Trump invoking the Insurrection Act changes absolutely everything. The Democrats know it, and they are absolutely panicked. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to help you make sense of the madness as the far left desperately tries to stop the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age that you're making happen all over the world. So if you want a front row seat on how you're changing the world in ways you never even imagined, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Also, have you seen the stock market lately? It's absolutely booming under Trump. We're up over 14% this year alone. Gas prices are down, inflation is under control, and our nation has collected over $215 billion from tariffs this year alone. That means there's a massive opportunity to profit from the growth of American companies, especially in industries like robotics, nuclear, and AI. But you have to know what you're doing, and you have to know what's really going on in the market, and ignore the legacy media's lying narrative of doom and gloom. Their fear-mongering is deliberately trying to prevent you and millions of patriotic Americans from taking advantage of all the actual growth and prosperity we're experiencing under Trump. And I don't want that for you. I want you to know the truth about what's happening, which is why I am so excited to announce that our good friend Mark Wilburn of Neos Capital is hosting a completely free 5-day online training called the Zero to Training Bootcamp on October 13th to 17th. It's designed to take you from knowing nothing about trading stocks to placing your first trade in just a week. Mark is a stock market expert whose recent picks have led to returns of over 200%. He has a knack for demystifying the stock market so everyday Americans can learn how to profit from it. We had so much positive feedback from our listeners the last time Mark hosted one of these boot camps that we asked if he would do another. People like Randy, who said, quote, "The Zero to Trading Boot Camp is an amazing program. Your financial life can be forever changed." And Yvonne, who said, "I'm 76 years old, and this is a great way for me to finance the new season of life I'm entering." And James, he let us know his account went up 80%. That's amazing. And it shows the type of opportunity that exists right now in this market. So if you're looking for ways to benefit from this booming Trump economy, then click the link below or go to freeturleyticket.com to reserve your spot. Tickets are normally $97, but Mark's agreed to open up registration for free for all our listeners because he wants to support patriots like you. We are living in America's golden age, and it's time to take bold moves to build the legacy we want for our families. Go to freeturleyticket.com right now to reserve your spot. It starts on October 13th. You're going to absolutely love it. The Insurrection Act of 1807 is not just being considered anymore. According to Trump's inner circle, it is actually happening.
Over a weekend. What?
The Insurrection Act, under what conditions or terms would you?
Well, I'd do it if it was necessary. So far it hasn't been necessary, but we have an Insurrection Act for a reason. If I had to enact it, I'd do that. If people were being killed and courts were holding us up, or governors or mayors were holding us up, sure, I'd do that. I mean, I want to make sure that people aren't killed. We have to make sure that our cities are safe.
Now, the invoking of the Insurrection Act is not unprecedented. It was last invoked back in 1992 by Bush Sr. during the LA riots, following the acquittal of the police officers that were caught on camera beating up Rodney King. The acquittal, of course, as these things always do, sparked several days of deadly riots and civil unrest, in this case in LA. And again, what the legacy media won't tell you is that the act has actually been invoked upwards of 30 times throughout U.S. history since its enactment back in 1807. And President Trump is making it absolutely clear that the time to invoke that act has come yet again. 15 plus sanctuary states are operating in open rebellion against federal law. Now, these aren't just policy disagreements. This is textbook insurrection, and Trump is finally ready to crush it. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson just brazenly and pathetically declared ICE-free zones in his failed city where federal agents are supposedly banned from operating. I mean, seriously, I think, a local mayor with an 8% approval rating thinks he can unilaterally designate no-go zones for federal law enforcement. The guy's an obvious constitutional illiterate. He appears to have never heard about the Supremacy Clause, Article 6, Clause 2, where federal law always trumps state law every single time, let alone municipal law. But this guy, Brandon Johnson, isn't alone. Illinois Governor Pritzker took a break between meals and ordered state police to refuse cooperation with ICE agents. I mean, this is sedition, plain and simple, but it gets worse. These radical Democrats are ramming cars into ICE vehicles, blocking federal officers, and engaging in what Stephen Miller correctly calls domestic terrorism. Now, the genius of Trump's approach here is becoming crystal clear. While Democrat governors like Pritzker scream about manufactured chaos, Trump has been methodically building the legal and political foundation for invoking the Insurrection Act. So on Monday, as you just heard, Trump said that he would most certainly invoke the act if necessary. Again, it's been invoked upwards of 30 times in our nation's history. How is the current situation not particularly applicable with mayors and governors doing everything they absolutely can to deliberately thwart legitimate law enforcement? And then on Tuesday, yesterday, you had a left-wing activist disguised as a federal judge block President Trump's deployment of National Guard troops to Antifa-infested Portland. Now, it was clearly a desperate, sort of a last gasp-like effort on the part of a dying judiciary that gets more and more stripped of its power every Supreme Court reprimand and decision. And Trump is laughing at this. He's like, excuse me, I'm the duly elected president of the United States. I can deploy troops for national security reasons in any way I see fit. No pathetic, powerless judge can even remotely thwart that. And so Trump followed that up on Tuesday night, last night, with declaring that the Portland protests are indeed what he called a pure insurrection. And then as of today, Texas National Guard troops have officially arrived in Chicago. And now NBC News is reporting that Steve Bannon has confirmed that the Insurrection Act of 1807 is indeed coming. Trump is going to drop the hammer on the far left once and for all. Now, of course, none of this would be happening if it weren't for the amazing pit bull of the administration, the lovable pit bull, of course. And that is the one and only Stephen Miller, the White House Deputy Chief of Staff, who's been laying the groundwork for invoking the Insurrection Act for months now. And the legal justification is ironclad. When local authorities refuse to enforce federal law, when they obstruct federal agents, and when they create sanctuary zones that shield illegal aliens, that is the very definition of insurrection under the 1807 Act. And the precedent is clear. Abraham Lincoln invoked the Insurrection Act multiple times during the Civil War without Confederate governor approval in the 1950s and 60s. It was used to force school integration against governor opposition. And now, with this, Trump has every legal right to use it. Victor Davis Hanson he's been making, I think, the very plausible argument that our current Democrat governors are now functioning as neo-segregationists and secessionists. They're invoking nullification of the Supremacy Clause. They're ignoring federal law. They're actively claiming that they can operate by different rules from the rest of the nation. And so if ever there were an occasion to invoke the Insurrection Act, this is it. Now, despite the legacy media hysteria, the American people are overwhelmingly in support of what President Trump is doing here. According to the latest Harvard-Harris poll, 56% of Americans support using the military to police cities and stop crime. Even more stunning, 77% of Republicans back the Insurrection Act deployment. 26% of Democrats actually want Trump to send in the National Guard as well. 26%. Seriously, when you've lost 1 in 4 Democrats, I mean, this is over. The American people are done with sanctuary city chaos. They're done with violent crime. They're done with illegal alien sanctuaries. They want order restored, and they want it now. Just watch how the establishment is absolutely panicking over all of this. Progressive judges are issuing increasingly desperate rulings to stop Trump. The latest tried to block the Portland deployment of National Guard troops, but Trump simply pivoted to Texas troops. The order said he couldn't deploy Oregon troops. It said nothing about sending in Texas troops, so that's exactly what he's doing. You're not going to beat executive power. I mean, this is why the Insurrection Act is the ultimate trump card. It bypasses all judicial interference because it's non-judiciable. The Insurrection Act ends judicial activism once and for all. The Democrat machine knows what's coming. Their unhinged panic rhetoric sees the writing on the wall. Their sanctuary city rebellion is about to be decisively and permanently crushed. When Trump pulls the trigger on the Insurrection Act, here's what you'll see. Immediate federalization of National Guard units in sanctuary cities and states. Military-backed immigration enforcement in Chicago, Portland, and beyond. The complete bypassing of obstructionist governors, mayors, and judges. Mass deportation operations protected by federal troops. And the total restoration of law and order in America's most violent cities. That is exactly what you would see within 24 to 48 hours after he invokes the Insurrection Act. Ultimately, this is not just about immigration. This is about who controls America. Will it be the American people through their duly elected president, or will it be radical Democrat governors and unelected judges running sanctuary state cartels? We are witnessing the most significant constitutional crisis since the Civil War. Trump has the law. He has the precedent. He has the polling support. And most importantly, he has the will to act. The far-left sanctuary city insurrection is about to meet the full force of federal power. The Insurrection Act of 1807 is locked, loaded, and ready to restore American sovereignty. This is it, gang. The final battle for America's future begins now. So what do you guys think? You're the ones changing the world. Let us know in the comments below. And as always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button for breaking news and analysis you're not going to hear anywhere else. God bless. Do you want to ask me your biggest questions and maybe win free merch while you're at it? Well, join my Courageous Patriot Club and be part of the uncensored Monday night Q&A, all for only $10 a month at turley.pub/club.